in history, all 4 belts in the cruiserweight division will belong proudly around the waist of one man.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. We're in Dubai here. I'm joined by 2 of the newer recruits of the MTK stable on a business side, not on fighting side. To my left, Mr. Mirko Wolf, and to my right, Mike Altamura. Have I pronounced both your names correctly?
Correct.
Mike? Yeah. We'll start with you, Mike. Just talk to us a little bit about your role within MTK, first of all.
Yeah, well, essentially, I'm on deck as an international consultant. So looking over, a lot of the international expansion of the company, looking at new signings, new recruits, trying to break MTK into new regions around the world, but also just be on hand to, lend a little bit of my experience to work with getting, fighters within the current stable rated, get them moving around, see what business opportunities there is for them, say from a rankings perspective, from a fighting perspective, and just work with the existing team to make MTK as strong as possible.
Tell us a little bit about your background in boxing. Obviously I know, but for the people that don't know, Tell us a little bit about that.
It's quite interesting. My father was a national team coach growing up back home in Australia, and then started when I was 11 years of age. I was doing like a little roundup of boxing results for the World of Boxing magazine, which again was like a newspaper type publication in Australia. And when I was 17, I launched my own fight website, and I had like the little section on there because I just thought, I'd try to do something different. And it was like a boxers available to fight section. And well, the people, writing in, wanting to be included, had no idea how old I was. And so I started having, gentlemen from third world countries all around the world, from Uganda, from Guyana, from places like Panama and so forth, start asking me if I'd be interested in managing their careers. And I just figured, hey, why not? Had no idea what I was getting myself into. And first fighter, I got knocked out in the 3rd round, so it was a baptism by fire. But, just been hooked ever since, and, been fortunate enough to travel the globe in this business. And, I'm always hungry for more opportunities and to work with like-minded people.
Now, you've definitely got the best name within the MTK stable, Mirko Wolf. You can't make it up. Unbelievable name. The Wolf. We're going to refer to you as the Wolf.
There you go.
Mirko, tell us a little bit about your background in boxing that's kind of led you into your position now with MTK.
Yeah. Well, I was a pretty good boxer myself, traveling the world as a world-class amateur, and then I was undefeated as a pro boxer, national champion. And then my father was smart, and he made sure that I do my university as well and not just fight. So I have a PhD in sports science, and with that I was able to work as a national coach in Germany. Then I worked at AIBA for a couple of years. I built the World Series of Boxing. Brought the fighters in, wrote the rules and regulations together with our lawyer. And then I managed several of the WSB teams before I again came back into AIBA, into the headquarters, and helped building the product AIBA Pro Boxing. And then I ventured into professional boxing more and more. Worked with some of the biggest names in the business, in the pro boxing business. And I found that MTK is a company where the boxer comes first, and that's very important for me. Having been a boxer, having lived the hardships of being a fighter, like going through that, and at the end of the day, most of the time the fighters are left with nothing. And I was one of them, winning my fights but ending up with no money, and I thought something is wrong in the system and we should do something about it. And I like the philosophy of MTK, of putting the fighter first, and that's very important for me, and that's why I think it's worth an effort to support this company. I believe that the people within MTK they first of all have the heart in the right spot, meaning they do decisions based on what's best for the athlete. I'm coming back to that. And at the same time, they're very smart. Like they make decisions. They look at boxing with a 360-degree vision, not just like this is it. We are managing the fighter and it starts here and ends there. No, there's many different aspects that have to be taken into consideration. And yeah, so team is very important here, and I find myself within a good team. So I think that those are the points that have led me into working with MTK now. I will look into developing the business for MTK. Obviously, I have good relations with many boxers over the years. Some people know me, some boxers know me, and other stakeholders in the business, so that will help. But yeah, business development in general, looking into things that we could do to better the sport. So that's my resume about it.
There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in boxing that people shouldn't and are not aware of. I suppose some things should be kept behind closed doors, and you two being involved in the sport for such a long time, you will see the kind of the dark side of boxing as well as the positives that the people see, which is usually what goes on in the ring. But the stuff that happens away from boxing, involving promoters and managers, why are you so confident that with MTK that stuff like that, or what we're talking about, doesn't occur and doesn't happen?
I'm happy to go first. I think the company ideology is different. You know, this isn't a company where the athlete's going to be left at the airport, he's left waiting for his money for months and months. You know, in fact, it's the opposite. You know, MTK will go out of their way to take care of their athletes. Like, you know, the company's been in existence for 5 years, and I watch from afar, but there was something that I seen happen about 18 months ago that just really, you know, just struck within me and had me further intrigued. And there's a gentleman in Australia, Jamie Weech, and he was like 8-2 at the time. He's a Welsh fighter, and Jamie had been struggling, you know, like he's essentially trying to fight, trying to earn a living, you know, outside of boxing. He needed an operation on his elbow, and you know, there was no way in which he could save the money from his work to have the operation. So he was essentially going to be caught up in the public system. You know, maybe, and you know yourself, sometimes you're waiting 1-2 years in the public system before they actually schedule you in, because it's not, you know, as they say, life-threatening. So anyways, a gentleman that was working with Jamie Weech's team emailed MTK, and within a day, MTK had sent him the money for the operation. You know, an athlete they've never met, it's not like he's under contract to the company or anything like that, just saying that's presented to the company. And that's the kind of story you'd never hear about. You know, there's so much more to the scale than that. But to me, I was just like, wow. You know, it's like most times a fighter goes to a promoter, goes to a manager and says, hey, I'm injured, I need this operation. If they're fronted the money, and it's highly doubtful they're fronted the money, if they're fronted the money, it's a deduction from their next fight purse, it's a deduction from future earnings, whatever. To see a situation like that was just so refreshing to me. And after, like you said, it's a red light district of professional sports, you know. I've seen everything happen in this game. So after seeing so much craziness and madness and scheming and, you know, just essentially people not living up to their word, to see something like that, it just really opened up my eyes with this company.
Mirko, echo the thoughts of Mike there?
Yeah, I can only support that. I mean, everything he said, I think it explains the whole situation. I mean, I can give you examples again of how I was treated as a professional fighter, and maybe one example I will give you. While I was fighting in the US, when I started as a pro, I'm 11-0, and I had 2 draws, and the draws were in the US. I thought I won the fight. Everyone thought I won the fight, but I didn't get it. They gave me a draw because I fought the hometown fighter. And then in this fight, I had 3 cuts. I had 2 cuts here, 1 cut there. And I was left after the fight. Like, no one took care of me. I was just sitting there waiting for an ambulance. No one came. Then, you know, eventually the ambulance came. They took me to the hospital, stitched it. And then I had to walk home. No one was there, no taxi, no nothing. And I came back to Germany, and I had exactly $100 left, 100 US dollars for that. And I thought I was one of the best in the world, which I was as an amateur. I won a fight that I didn't get, had cuts in my face, and $100 left, and I cried. Like, I sat in front of my father crying and thinking like, damn man, why are you doing that? Why are you like putting your health and your like everything, you're living boxing 24 hours, why are you putting all that in and then you're left with $100? That's bullshit, you know. And there's experiences like this that made me understand, you know, this is a dirty business. Like he said, it's a dirty business, and you need to make sure you got the right people around you to help you, you know, like survive and find the right way. And so I'm extremely picky on who I'm working with, extremely picky. Like everyone like has to go through a thorough process of evaluation by me. Like, and I do that. Like, I'm asking the boxers, first of all, the boxers, like, hey, what do you think about these people? Like, how did they treat you? And you know, I did that process with MTK, and I can say, boom, like they hit the spot. They are there. They take care of the boxers. So I'm here supporting that. I like that.
I've only known you a couple of days. I do notice one thing about you. You question everything.
There you go.
He does, doesn't he? It's like,
Absolutely.
usually, you know, when you're talking to someone, and it's like, you sometimes just go along with what the person's saying, especially if you don't know the person that well. It's like, yeah. This guy here is like, everything's like, hang on a minute, what did you mean there? It's like, it's great.
I mean, if you want to find the truth, you better like dig hard. Like, you know, you need to go to the bone and find like, is it real? Like, is it real, or are they bullshitting you? This is a fact, isn't it? And you only can achieve that by asking. And there's no stupid question. It's just, you know, I want to know what's happening.
Yeah.
And so everything that I'm asking, I'm getting answers that I like. You know, I ask from different angles. I get good answers as well. So boom, there you go. Makes sense.
The CEO of MTK Global, Sandra Vaughan, obviously she has her vision, and she's kind of putting all the pieces together now to make sure that vision becomes a reality in the future. So are you both confident that that reality can be reached?
Yep. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. And, you know, Sandra is a really, really clever woman. What I love about this company is that there's not that typical structure you see in companies where it's like, hey, I'm the CEO, and it's somebody talking down to you. You know, there's everyone's perspective is appreciated, it's anticipated, you know, so it gives you, I suppose, the encouragement, it gives you the drive to have a voice. It gives you the drive for betterment, because it feels like everybody within the company is at the same level, and that's the way it should be. And, you know, we've got a lot of really, really clever people on board too. So, yeah, I'm confident for the future, and I'm thrilled to be here.
A stable of 130, 140 professional fighters, and that the level of fighters on the books at MTK has increased over the last 5 years to guys now like Tyson Fury and Carl Frampton. From your perspective, you want to sort of keep to those levels of what's being added, or is there going to be all different levels of fighters coming in? How's it going to work?
Mirko?
Well, I think it's natural that that we're getting better and better with everything we're doing, and you know, word gets around. People see what MTK is doing, and fighters talk among themselves. They are speaking about what's happening, and it's normal that at some point, like, the best of the best want to be with us as well. And we already see that coming. Like, we have some of the top names in the business with us. And but I think, once again, the beauty is we're not only looking at the top tier. Boxing is way more than that, because that's often forgotten. Like, you talk to like some of the top promoters in the business, and they would say, I need that next superstar. But hey, you know what? Boxing, you know,
the roots.
There's so much more to it, and you know, once again, having been in the situation of being a good guy, like being a good fighter, but not getting what I thought I should get, and you know, $100 is not a lot after you have like cuts in your face and you live like for weeks and months just for that fight. You know, like there's a better way of doing things, and we are doing that. We are applying that. Word gets around. So all in all, I think the whole level of class of boxing that MTK is representing is rising. So
Yeah, I think there's, for example, there's, you know, several established current world champions that have reached out to me the last, you know, week or so and inquired about MTK and, you know, their possibilities to come over to the management firm. But it's not just about that level, like Mirko exemplified. It's about all levels. I think, you know, as we expand into new markets, it's about what makes kind of practical sense for the company moving forward, but also keeping at heart the roots of the company and the ideology, the fact that it is a company that puts the athletes and the fighters first. So I think whether somebody's, you know, a 4-round fighter, whether someone is a local area fighter, someone's a world championship caliber fighter, whatever it is, as long as a company there's an ability where we can put the fighters' needs first within our structure, then I definitely think we're open to all kinds of thinking.
I think another point that that we could mention here is that we are not just looking at certain weight classes. We are not looking at certain markets. We are called MTK Global, so we look at the global perspective of things. We are not fixed on one market. We want to develop boxing globally, and throughout all weight classes, all ethnic backgrounds. We don't have any prejudices here. We are completely open to what's coming our way, and that's another thing that everyone that knows a bit about boxing will notice, that usually there's a focus on the heavier weight classes, on specific markets. Everyone is focused on the US, on the UK, on France, on Germany. But hey, that's not global thinking. Global thinking is there are emerging markets coming up. There are markets where kids have a lot of talent, but they don't have the chance to showcase that. That's where MTK Global comes in, picks them up, puts them in the right position to showcase that talent. And we want to take boxing with those kids from difficult backgrounds also to the next level.
Okay. Mirko, Mike, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. I feel like we could have gone on, but I feel like it's the right time to kind of, 20 minutes is...
Did you get bored?
No, listen, I can talk, trust me. I can have you two sitting here for a lot longer. But it's good to obviously spend some time with you guys and learn a little bit about what you two are going to be doing moving forward. So it's all about changing the game.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Nicely put. And we will do that, right? Boom.
Damn right.
Bam.
Mirko Wolf, Mike Altamura, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV, and we'll definitely catch up with you soon.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Time in history, all 4 belts in the cruiserweight division will belong proudly around the waist of one man.